In this example, I need to find the domain of g of x equals the square root of 72 minus 9x, and then I need to write the answer in interval notation. Well, what do we mean about finding the domain of a function? The domain of a function are all the real values for the input variable x, for which the output g of x is a real number. Do we always get real number answers when you take square roots? No. If I ever have a negative underneath the square root of a negative number is not a real number. So to find the domain of square root functions, remember this works with square root functions, what do we do to find the domain? We set the radicand greater than or equal to 0. The radicand, that's the fancy name for the expression underneath the radical. And if I set it greater than or equal to 0, I'm ensuring that it is not negative, because that's when I get my problems. So I'm going to take my radicand, 72 minus 9x, and set it greater than or equal to 0. Now I have a simple linear inequality. And how do we solve those? Just like solving a linear equation with two big exceptions. One is when you multiply or divide an inequality by a negative number, it reverses the inequality symbol. The other one is if you interchange the two sides of an inequality, that reverses the inequality symbol. So I want to collect my x's on the left-hand side, so I'm going to subtract 72 from both sides. Adding and subtracting numbers to an inequality does not change the inequality symbol. So 72 minus 72 is 0, so I get negative 9x is greater than or equal to 0 minus 72 is negative 72. Now to get my x all by itself, what am I going to have to do? I'm going to have to divide both sides by negative 9. Remember, dividing both sides of an inequality by a negative number reverses the inequality symbol. So instead of greater than or equal to, it becomes less than or equal to. And now I get x is less than or equal to negative 72 divided by negative 9 is positive 8. So there is my solution. It is written as an inequality, but they wanted us to write it in interval notation. It always helps to draw the graph to be able to do your interval notation. So I need x is less than or equal to 8. Here's 8 on the number line. Less than means shade everything to the left of 8. Put an arrow pointing to negative infinity. And since it's less than or equal to 8, you use a square bracket on the 8. So there's my graph. And my interval notation is just a contraction of that graph. Where's my interval start? At negative infinity. Don't forget you always use parentheses on infinity and negative infinity. So my interval is parentheses negative infinity, comma, 8 with a square bracket on it. So there is my answer in interval notation.